I'd like to have Anya and Ashan come up and join me. Yes, up here in front of everybody. Ooh, where is he? These are the people that deserve applause. Sean, why don't you have purple hair? I would be happy, we would be happy to answer any of your questions. So let's have some questions. Put my colleagues on the spot here. Somebody ask a question. What would you like to know?
Why do you consider those two cats not possible to rehabilitate them? You know?
Why were the cats were not able to rehabilitate them? One has a bung back leg, that is, the ligament is torn and it can't use one of its rear legs. And the other one, both of them have injured rear legs so that they can't walk properly.
And another, actually we have 4 cats in that place, and another 2 cats have blind eyes, and because in some of those areas people pour hot water into their faces. It's happened in Anuradhapura area, because these cats, they just enter in the houses to catch, enter into the chicken coops, and sometimes they killing the domestic cats. And because of these incidents, people used to use these kind of methods just to keep them away.
So the cat raids a chicken house or kills a domestic cat, the people catch the cat and they pour boiling water in its eyes. Great. Well, you know the threat. Now what's our intervention? And that's what Sean is doing.
Do these cats breed with domestic cats, so you get like a hybrid?
Did everybody hear the question, do they breed with domestic cats? Well, that has a long answer. In South America, all small cats have lack a pair of chromosomes that all their cats have. So in South America, all these small cats have 18 pairs of chromosomes, whereas all other cats have 19 pairs, including domestic cats. So those cats cannot interbreed and have viable offspring. But some of the African cats, particularly in the genus Felis, which also has our domestic cat, they can interbreed. There are old stories written by the British that the rusty spotted cat could breed with domestic cats, but we don't believe that that's true. So typically, because these cats are, like a fishing cat is much bigger than a domestic cat, it'll just kill a domestic cat. But they don't interbreed. Jungle cat definitely does interbreed with a domestic cat. It produces a savannah or something like that. It produces a chousey. It produces a chousey. But the way they get these chouseys is they breed a domestic cat with a jungle cat, and then they get offspring, and the offspring that don't behave properly, they just euthanize them. So thousands of individuals get euthanized, producing one that behaves properly for humans. But in the wild, they typically don't interbreed. Jungle cat is much bigger than a domestic cat. Yeah. Does that help? You're never going to get a domestic cat tiger cross.
Any conservation projects going on about the other 2 small wild cats in Sri Lanka?
Tell the truth now.
There is one jungle cat project conducted by Dr. Mittapala, Shriyani Mittapala, and rusty spotted cat, nothing. But hopefully Ashan and I will be starting one in the next couple of months. But apart from that, there's nothing.
The rusty spotted cat remains almost totally unknown. Its habits in the wild have never been studied. We know, you could ask me if it's nocturnal or diurnal, we don't know. We don't know how much time it spends in the trees, how much time it spends on the ground. We don't know. We have 3 tags in Anya's freezer waiting. They're smaller than a wristwatch. They look like they're very tiny collars, much smaller than your average wristwatch that people don't wear anymore. Waiting to put them on any rusty spotted cat we can find to learn something new about it. I told Anya, if we can put one tag, one collar on a rusty spotted cat, I'll come to Sri Lanka and help them do the radio tracking 24/7. It has to be done by walking with an antenna because the satellite tags are too big. They're too heavy. The rusty spotted cat is the smallest cat in the world, and I'm becoming ever more concerned that it's becoming rarer and rarer. But we know nothing of it in the wild.
Anjali just told me that they have a grassy spotted cat project as well, so sorry about that, I didn't know.
Yes, go ahead.
Which part of Sri Lanka does a fishing cat live in?
You can ask the experts.
So far, we have more than 200 records around Sri Lanka, and we are currently generating a distribution, all island distribution map. So according to that, actually they are pretty much around Sri Lanka, and as more people believe, like since these cats these cats associated with the water, because as you can see their name is fishing cat, but they are also living in the hills. Like you can see these cats up to the Hatton, Nuvareli area, and also you can see them in Batiklo area, which is really dry part in Sri Lanka, and also in down south Panama area, and even we recently got 2 kittens from Jaffna Peninsula 2 weeks ago, and those kittens are in Giritale Wildlife Vet Facility. So pretty much around Sri Lanka.
Have you seen them? Have you seen any in the wild? You will.
Could you share what you look for when you're setting up these camera traps? What you look for in the location that you put the camera? You said you take a lot of time to do that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to set the cameras. So oftentimes we look for a trail that a cat might use. We look for footprints. We look for scat. So you know the cat's been there. And then we face the camera away from the sun. Try to focus the camera on a thermally flat picture. So the more complex the background, the more likely it is that the camera is going to go off and not have any animal walk by. So the way that the cameras work, it's thermal difference in motion that sets off the camera. So the camera sees a thermal background, and then if an ice cube were to float by, it would take a picture of the ice cube because the ice cube is much colder than the thermal background. Similarly, if a hot object walks by, it will take a picture. Rarely, on occasion we do get pictures of tortoises, but it's much more difficult because a tortoise is background temperature, right? It's ambient temperature, and so it's invisible to the cameras. The reptiles are often invisible to the cameras. So I look for a thermal background that's flat and not complex. Oftentimes when we photograph rodents, we put the camera up facing down on the ground, and then you get a nice flat thermal background.
So there is you need a lot of money for the research to show the percentage how people get for small cat research. Now, I'm not advocating this, but I want your views on this. Now, you said you have 2 cats that cannot be rehabilitated.
Yes.
And there's a demand from some zoos that they'll give you a lot of money if you give these cats. Now, how does that compare say trophy hunting in Africa, where they give license for trophy hunters to get a lot of money to say environment. And this question was raised from Professor David McDonald, and we never got a straight answer from him. Okay, let's have your answer on this.
Right. Well, of course, the trophy hunting is very controversial. Some people advocate it wildly and enthusiastically, and then other people say, no, it's out of control, it doesn't work. How much money really goes into the conservation of the cats? But for the zoos, in our case, the zoos are willing to support our conservation work and the in situ conservation work. They're not after trophies, they're after animals that they can exhibit. One of the problems that we have, and it's a problem that the zoos are addressing and helping with, is awareness. So why are people so familiar with lions and tigers and leopards and jaguars and cheetahs? Is that they see them all the time, and zoos have them and exhibit them. And it's a chicken and egg problem, because the zoos will say, oh, that's what the people want to see, so that's what we exhibit. And we say, no, the people really don't know what they want to see. You have to exhibit other things to show them, to educate them. And they say, well, they don't want to see those things. Well, they don't even know to ask to see those things. So the zoos are raising awareness, but the gene pools of these cats, like fishing cats and other small cats, is actually disappearing from many of the zoos. And they need new bloodlines from new places. I think many of the fishing cats around the world actually came from Sri Lanka some time ago and have been in breeding programs. I know a guy in California sent one of his fishing cats to Estonia. He sent a female fishing cat from California because Estonia Zoo had only a single male. So these cats are making flights across the world to get into breeding programs. And we have here in Sri Lanka, wild-caught individuals that are hardship cases. Okay, the case is a hardship, they cannot be released. And we can't keep building rehab center after rehab center after rehab center and feeding the cats and taking care of the cats in our enclosures, because we want to work on cats in the wild, but we're not going to euthanize these cats. They need homes, and those homes are they're Taj Mahals. They're fantastic, and we need the money for our conservation programs. What's important to us is saving them and their habitats in the wild. And it's not like any of us are going to become millionaires from selling fishing cats. That's not going to happen. We can keep track of every penny, and the reason we are so good at it is because there are so few of them, these pennies. Does that answer part of the question, Professor Lakdas?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Jim Anderson. I think that's about enough for the questions, because otherwise everybody will want to run home. But before I just formally thank you, thank our sponsors once again, Nations Trust Bank, for supporting this monthly lecture, and the Pro Image and Mohan Fernando for support with video coverage. Past lectures are now available on the website. CJ and team at Sava Advertising for creative support, and Tilma for the tea service. But most of all, Dr. Jim Anderson, thank you very much for this great lecture that we had this evening. Obviously the small cats are elusive and in hiding somewhere. So you have a lot of eyes out there. I hope they're going to find a lot of these elusive cats for you. And I hope everybody enjoyed the lecture. And thank you very much, Dr. Jim Anderson. And if I could invite Rukshan, our president, to hand over a small token of gratitude for your lovely lecture this evening.
Anya, we forgot to mention that you can phone in your observations. So say something about that. Tell people that they can, if you see a cat out there and you get a record, we have a record-keeping system. So you can help us find those cats. your observations.
So we've got an online tool called save.cat, so you just type that in, and it will open up this web page where you can, if you see a fishing cat, jungle cat, or rusty spotted cat, whether it's a dead one or one that's alive, sleeping, climbing, I don't know, you can get on this website, type in the species, plug in the location, if you have photographs, upload it, and it all downloads onto a distribution map with your details, so you all will be credited as the person who gave us the location, and y'all can be Small Cat Citizen Science. We'll really appreciate all this information, because Ashan and I just doing our work, we're just two of us, and we've got X number of people around the country, so any help would be much appreciated. So it's save.cat. There's no, it's not a very long URL, it's very easy to remember. So yeah, next time you'll see one, please log in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anya, and thank you, Anya and Ashan, and Rukshan, if you could please hand over this to Dr. Jim Sanderson, please. Thank you very much.